I think the most important person you have to learn to forgive is yourself. And I think a lot of you guys understand this to a degree. Some of you guys may not understand it at all, but a lot of you guys don't know how to actually do that for yourself and how to actually make room and make space for your mistakes. And, you not knowing what you don't know. What I've had to kind of just understand and learn to just give myself a lot of grace is just understanding that, like, I can't hold myself to the expectation or the standard of perfection and having it all figured out. Understanding that I have to make mistakes and I have to make room for my mistakes in order to actually grow from them. A lot of you guys are your worst enemies because you're the one that holds yourself to the standard or judges yourself to the standard of needing to be perfect or needing to have it all figured out. It's like you're your own worst enemy because you critique yourself so hard to the point that you never feel the ability to, like, be wrong or say the wrong thing or make the wrong decision or not be perfect, essentially. And it's like, if you never make space for yourself to actually just, like, be a person in this world and just, like, grow, have to go through the motions, have to make mistakes, have to, learn different lessons and things like that, then you'll always suffer through life and you'll always, like, feel this heavy pressure on yourself to always have it figured out. And what I've realized is, like, you don't know what you don't know until you know. And basically all that means is, like, sometimes we don't figure things out. Sometimes we don't realize the impact of our decisions. We don't realize the impact, of our own mistakes and, how we carry ourselves and how we go about living through life until we make the mistake itself. And it's like, yeah, I can either live in regret or determine how I'm going to move forward. But it's like, regardless, you were always going to make that mistake eventually. And it was always going to eventually at some point in time come to light that, that may not have been the best way, or that you have room to change or improve yourself, basically. But it's like, you can't beat yourself up for not knowing what you didn't know. And, we have to realize, like, we're so limited in life. Like, we only know for a large portion of our life what we've been taught, how we've been told, the person we've been told to be, the person, under our own emotions and things like that. And it's like, you have to just literally just go through life in order to even become aware of certain things. Like, it's certain things that you can't even be taught. It's certain things you just have to go out and experience in the world. I think for myself, I had to learn to just understand, like, I don't have leaders in my life. I don't have people who, can go about with me every day, making every decision for me and, like, leading me down the right path and stuff. It's like, I'm leading myself kind of to an extent, especially when it comes to content creation and just doing life certain things in general and becoming a man and things like that. And I have to, be the one that makes space for myself, because you're going to notice as you go out in this world, a lot of people aren't going to make room for your mistakes. A lot of people aren't going to make room for you to, be imperfect, essentially. A lot of people are going to hold you to high expectations and high standards. And so it's like, if I'm not there for me, if I don't give myself that grace, then who will? And, I have to find a way to lift this pressure off myself and find peace with not having life all figured out, especially at the young age of being in your 20s and things like that. Like, how can you even hold yourself to that standard? It's like, you have to allow yourself and give yourself the space to grow in this world, because you barely even experienced it. Like, there's certain things that, you're just now getting into, whether that's college, whether that's trying to be a better communicator, whether that's overcoming certain fears and discomforts, whether that's, just learning how to be an adult, take responsibility for yourself, be the one that leads yourself. Like, all these things are new. And when it's new, you can never expect to, have it all figured out, but you can carry the trust that trust yourself to be able to figure it out. I think that's the important thing we have to learn to do, is, like, trust that, when we do make mistakes, when we do fuck up, essentially, like, we are able to bounce back. and we're able to, become someone better. We're able to make the changes within ourselves to get us the results that we want to see, or, get us better results than what we have right in front of us. Because if you don't carry that trust within yourself and you don't think you're capable of changing, you'll always label yourself as, oh, I'm not good enough. Oh, I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's like you become your own limit. You become your own worst critic, and you can almost limit yourself in life. Like let's just say, for example, like, oh, you made mistakes where you've hurt other people's feelings and things like that, or you've disappointed other people and things like that. If you see that as a mistake and you don't give yourself that room and that space to grow, to be able to figure out how you can handle that situation better, then moving forward, you'll just be like, okay, I won't speak up anymore because last time I spoke up, it hurt this person's feelings, or it made this person angry, or, I won't voice my opinion anymore. And it's like you start suppressing yourself, basically. And it's like you start disrespecting and damaging yourself at the cost of trying to prevent other people from getting damaged, or other people from getting hurt at the cost of you, basically. And so it's like you don't want to be the reason behind other people's actions. You don't want to be the cause of other people's effects, basically. And it's like you can't really control that. Like if you move through life walking on eggshells in every single space you step into, you'll never be able to just move freely through life. That's why a lot of you guys overthink so much. That's why a lot of you guys are so hesitant. That's why a lot of you guys, are just so timid and so, you're just constantly tense, basically. It's like you walk through life trying not to make trying not to make the wrong decision every single time. You always want to say the right thing. You always want to, cater towards others. You never want to cause any damage. You just want to stay in the middle. You want to play everything safe. And it's like, you can't go through life moving like that, because you'll never be satisfied with yourself and you'll never reach your full potential. It's like, in order to reach your full potential in life, you have to go out and take big risks. You have to go out and voice your opinion. You have to stand out from the rest of the world. And it's like, people will always feel some type of way about you. People will always judge you. People will always tell you you need to be changing. People will always try to tell you there's something wrong with you. But again, you have to give yourself the space and, the ability to forgive yourself, even when you might cause people damage to other people. And all you can really do is determine, how can I become better moving forward, understanding that, I still can't please everybody, because sometimes people are just going to get hurt, and it's inevitable. And it doesn't mean you did anything wrong. It doesn't mean you made the wrong decision. Like, have you ever had an ultimatum where you had to choose somebody? Like, you had to choose between two people. Let's just say for the last pick of dodgeball, or for the last pick of kickball. And it's like, both people interpret being the last pick or the unchosen pick that they're the worst in the class or whatever, that nobody likes them. It's like, if they both are going to interpret it that way, I still got to make a pick regardless. And regardless of what pick I make, somebody's going to be upset. But I can't hold myself to that. I can't put that on me. I can't take responsibility for other people's feelings and, how my decisions impact them always, especially if it's not something that's in my control. Now, I'm not saying to go out here and, go through life freely, not caring about how other people feel and things like that. But, understanding what's reasonable to make a change for, understanding where it's like, okay, this is just the decision I have to make, and I'm sorry that it makes you feel this way, because sometimes that's the attitude you got to move with. Like, again, you can't please everybody, and if you go through your life trying to please everybody, then you'll never be satisfied. And back to forgiving yourself and things like that. Like, sometimes we go through things in our past and we don't forgive ourselves for not being the person we are now back then, whether that was us being in harmful relationships, whether that was us staying in situations that we could have easily gotten out of had we just chose to see the red flags and all these other things, whether that was what we went through as a child and feeling like, oh, if my parents treated me this way, then that must have meant I wasn't good enough. Or it's like you feel some type of way about yourself because of old results in your past. And it's like, you have to really make space for yourself to forgive yourself, understanding again that you're growing and you're figuring it out. And sometimes it's like you were a kid then, or you just didn't know any better. And it's like you have to make room for those things, because if you don't, then again, you'll always hold yourself to that standard. You'll always judge yourself. You'll always feel some type of way about yourself. You'll always feel like everything's your fault, essentially, and that you're not capable of changing, or that you're responsible for how other people's lives turned out. You're responsible for how certain friendships went, or how certain relationships went. And it's like, if you never learn to forgive yourself, then again, you'll just always have this low sense of self-esteem and things like that. And also, just like forgiving yourself for staying in certain relationships, even if it damaged you as a person, like, it's okay. Like, I could say the same thing. There's so many different situations I allowed myself to stay in because of my own mindset, my own hope, my own wanting to see the good in people, my own trying to force it into what I wanted it to be, my own thinking I could change it or change them, and all these different things. And it's like, I had to just understand, like, I can't be mad at myself because I went through that. Like, obviously there was a reason why I was holding on, and I just have to figure out that reason and understand how I can learn from it, how I can handle that situation better in the future, so that my past mistakes don't repeat themselves, so I don't put myself through that type of suffering and that type of pain ever again. Because again, like, you don't know what you don't know, and it's like you have to live life sometimes in order to learn. Like, I had to go through my past in order to learn certain situations, in order to teach things that I'm now able to teach now. And it's like, had I not given myself that space, and I always held myself against my past, and I always like felt bad for what I had allowed myself to go through, then I wouldn't be able to make videos like this. I wouldn't be able to learn and become a better me. I wouldn't become stronger as a person. Like, sometimes, and as harsh as it may sound to some of y'all, like, sometimes you just gotta toughen up. Sometimes you just gotta, like, be a bigger person, and like, get over yourself, essentially. Like, get over your feelings. Like, you just got to determine how you're going to move forward, how you're going to grow from the situation. Like, sometimes it's a waste of time to sit around complaining and, stressing about how things turned out. It's like, you just got to determine what type of person can you be moving forward, regardless of, the people it might damage, or regardless of how it made you feel in the moment. Because in this world, we're constantly discovering, we're constantly becoming more self-aware, we're constantly learning more about ourselves that we didn't know in the past. We're constantly experiencing certain things where we learn things about ourselves that we didn't know before. We're constantly learning different strengths, different weaknesses, different mindsets and approaches towards certain things. And it's like, you have to make room and space for all of those things, because again, some things are just new. Some things you don't know now, but as you go through life, you figure out. And it's like, you can't blame yourself for not always knowing the best way to go about handling this decision. It's like, becoming a parent for the first time, expecting yourself to have parenthood all figured out. It's like, no, if you make a mistake, or you say some type of the wrong thing, or you allow your emotions at some point to get the best of you when disciplining a child, or let's say a better example, relationships or something. You're in your first relationship. You can't hold yourself to the expectation that you already know how to communicate to the best of your ability. You already know how to consider the other person's feelings in every decision you make. You can't automatically assume, like, to understand how to be the best boyfriend or be the best girlfriend, because it's simply a new thing to you, and you have to allow yourself the space to be able to go through the motions and figure things out, even if at times it costs you people. Because I'll be the first to say, my mistakes have costed me so many different people. My mistakes have costed me to be in certain situations I could have easily avoided, but I give myself that space to learn, to grow, to understand, like, the only way to figure it out is to be willing to figure it out, is to be willing to go through the motions. The only way you can become successful, or, the only way to become the best potential person that you could be, is to, be willing to fail, be willing to make mistakes. Because on the road to success, chasing success, or trying to become a successful person, or trying to become, that best version of yourself, like, every time you take a risk, every time you step out of your comfort zone and you try and grow and you try and change, you're accepting that, I can either do this the right way or the wrong way. And it's like, failure will always be part of that risk. You're basically, at any risk you take, you're taking the risk to always be willing to fail, essentially, or always be willing to make the wrong decision or a mistake. And every decision you make, really, it's like, in decisions themselves, there's, two sides to them. You could either be right or you could either be wrong. You could either make the right decision that, gets you what you want to see, or you can make the wrong decision that ends up being a mistake that you have to learn from. But that's the only way you're going to be able to, grow as a person in this world, is by putting yourself out there and being vulnerable and being open and willing to failing and making mistakes in this world. Because you have to realize, like, the more times you fail in life, the more times you get no's in life, that's getting you closer to the result that, you actually want, because you're seeing what one decision gets you or what one mistake gets you, and you're seeing, okay, now I could cross that out. It's like process of elimination, damn near. It's like, okay, I see this decision doesn't get me anywhere near where I want to be, and so I know, okay, that doesn't get me there. Now, what else could possibly get me there? It's like you start crossing out all the different options until you finally find the right one that actually works. And, but you have to, again, be willing to go through that process of making those mistakes and forgiving yourself, understanding that, it's all part of the process. These things are new. I'm learning. I can't hold myself to the expectation of having it all figured out, and I have to give myself the space to grow. Basically, I have to make sure I'm forgiving myself for, going through the motions of life and going through life, essentially. But, I appreciate you guys for tuning into the video. I hope you learned a thing or two. Hoodies are on the way. They'll be here this week. Haven't decided on a drop date yet, but I'll get that information to y'all soon. Make sure y'all follow me on Instagram. I will KeepItReal1, and keep up on the community posts on YouTube. But yeah, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn on post notices. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.